Hello.
Good morning.
Welcome to Bars and Bells. My name is Lauren.
And I'm Ian.
And this is our Saturday morning play with your strength.
And is it bright and early or is it midday and gray? A little bit of both here today. We'll stretch, we'll strength. Our menu board is off to the side and we'll get on the floor. Any way that you want, at least to start. Come on down. We'll start with the hands. If the hands are already on the floor, make sure that they're screwed in. The blood donations face forward and the shoulders are down. From here, could you try to lift your index finger, straighten the elbows, and then press it down heavily into the floor. Then try to lift that ring finger, straighten those elbows, and also press that down. Then lift the ring, or at least try, and press heavily through the fingertip. And last time through the pinky, think lift, think press. Those thumbs, can't forget about those. Push those thumbs down.
The only one I can
lift them up too. Then push all 10 fingertips down heavily and perform our first knuckle push up. It might crack, but nice and control on the up and the down. 4 or 5 more here. Work that first knuckle push up. Keep those elbows straight. Keep the shoulders pulling down to the hips and build that wrist and forearm strength. One more time through there. Then we'll push away, flick those wrists. And one more thing for me before Lauren takes over the head neck. Fists, peace signs in particular, hinge on those hips, place the hands on the floor. Keep the load on the index and the middle finger, but try to reach the pinky side to the floor. Heavy through the index and the middle finger and reach that pinky side to the floor. Next, flex over the wrist with an open palm. Then press those knuckles into the ground to return your wrist to stacked. Repeat. Gently over on the flexed wrist. That's that flexibility component. Let's add strength as we press into the floor to bring it home. Last 1 or 2 each side, gentle wrist flexion. Then press into the ground to return to your stacked wrist. And last time for me here, over, push down, and then flick through those fingers and extend the hips.
Flick.
Head necks.
Heads and necks.
Heads and necks.
Excellent. From this tall kneel position, we'll do a couple head neck circles. Let's gently tuck our chin towards our chest. And then from here, we'll scrape that chin along a collarbone towards an armpit. Pause there for a second. Could you retract your blades a little bit more? And then from here, our nose will continue the circle up the wall, all the way across the ceiling to the other side wall. And then nose scraping down the wall, chin towards clavicle. Return that head neck back to center and bring it up on straight. Whew. Let's do the same thing the other way. Light retraction of shoulder blades, chin tucks towards chest. Scrape that collarbone with the chin. Nose goes up the wall, across the top of the ceiling, all the way to the other side. Scraping down the wall, chin comes towards that armpit, scrapes to center, and then gently stack your head on straight. And relax that for a second.
Little bobble.
Nice. Let's sit back in those feet, pointed toes out the back. And then we'll extend our hips, squeezing our cheeks, tuck our toes, rock back into that low squat. Find the light balance here. Try to stay on those toes. And then find the heels. And we'll press through to tall. We'll do some ribs from up here, and then we'll get back to the floor for some hips from all fours. For our ribs, let's start with our feet slightly wider than our hips to try to stop our hips from moving. I like to have my arms out to the side here as I take my rib cage and I slide it side to side. As I slide side to side, I'm thinking about keeping my shoulders parallel with the floor and not being a little teapot. Try to take that cage from one side to the other, and then let's bring it back to center and pull those arms in. With your arms across your chest and your shoulders lightly retracted, the glutes squeezed. Now let's take that cage in the forward-backwards direction. So here I like to think about my chest staying at the same height as I press my rib cage forward. And then, keeping those blades together, my rib cage tries to reach behind me. Repeat 1 or 2 more times as you gently extend forward. And then coming back, keep those blades together as to not just round that spine and come back to center. Now we'll link those 2 moves and create a nice circle. So from here, I'm going to slide to one side. And then I'm going to start reaching forward, around the front of the circle, all the way to that new corner, end up in the back corner, going around the back of the circle to the first side we started on, and then pulling back to center. Let's repeat going the other direction. Slide, forward. Again, that lower body from the belly button down is stuck in mud as we slide around that back edge of the circle, all the way to the corner we started on, and to center. Shake it out. We'll ankle squat down, and then we'll hips, knees towards over toes. Lightly lift those heels to sink lower. With or without your hands, soft landing, extend those cheeks, squeeze them, squeeze them, squeeze them. Untuck the toes and sit back. And then
Hips.
hips.
From all fours. Let's go back to those hands. Fingertips, calluses, whole hands, blood donations. Forward, shoulder blades low. Bend a single leg. I'm showing with my left. Keep the knee on the floor, but bend the knee. Then pull the knee off the floor or compress into the hip. For 5 seconds, keep your tailbone long like a cow shape and pull your knee forward. For 3, 2, replace it to the floor. Toe touches 2, and repeat on the other side. Knee bend, then compress in that hip as you pull off the floor, and keep your tailbone long and pull the knee forward into hip flexion. 3, 2, gently down. Return to the original leg. So my left, I bend the knee. My left, I'll compress the femur in the hip, pulling off the floor, and then keeping the inseam facing the ground, let's open that leg to the side. Don't forget, you have a bowl of water or other liquid on your back. Don't spill a drop. Pull into center, return to the ground, same thing other side. The knee bend, the hip compress, then open to the side, inseams facing the ground, those hips staying nice and level. Hold for a second longer and pull under. Now very casually, tip your tailbone like a cow. Tailbone to ceiling, anterior tip. Then moderate, tuck under. With that tuck under, we'll then bend a knee. Then compress in the hip or off the floor and extend the hip as to kick the ceiling, but ensure that we're not using the low back and instead the glutes, the butts. Hold for a second longer, then pull the knee to the ground, replace it down. Last time, other side. Bend the knee, compress, maintain a slight posterior tuck or a minuscule cat shape here as we extend the hip. Hold for a second or two longer, and with control, return to the ground. Press off those hands, give them a little bit of a shake, and from here, we'll roll around on our back with the arms moving, then the legs, and then those infamous or favorite front rolls. My arms are set up in a T shape, and I'll be taking my left hand and moving it towards my hip. Then once it hits the hip, I'll reach across the body, reach and roll, and turn to your front side. Now take the other hand, so in this case it's my right, and I'll bring it to my hip as well, and I'll continue to roll in the same direction all the way to my back. Now take that right hand, or the opposite as I was doing here, hand to hip. Reach across the body, roll to that front side, and then the other arm sweeps towards the hip, reaching and rolling, ending up on our back side. Let's repeat the rolls with the low body right away here. So we'll flex the hip and knee, then extend the leg up. Hello, hamstrings. Then across the body, the arm still sweeps to the hip, and then ending up front. The opposite leg kicks the ceiling like a scorpion tail, and kick and reach and roll with the arm coming across the body. Last time, other side, it's the knee bend, hip bend, knee extend. Across the body, have that hand sweep the hip, ending up on your front. And then last time, knee bend like a scorpion tail, kick, extending the hip to your back, and roll to the original T position. Take a second, take a breath, but then it's time for those other styles of rolls, but not quite yet. Lauren will continue the conversation with those hips from the lunge.
Let's get into that lunge position. So with one foot in front, one foot behind, either that tucked toe or the pointed foot out behind you. Now, let's first hike that hip up into your ear, and then pull it down to level. We'll tilt both tailbones to the back wall, and then by both tailbones, I mean both sides to the back wall, and then lightly tuck under. Now I want you to keep that back hip tucked under and try to tip the other side forward. So that might cause you to push down with that front leg and pull in. And feel that scissor action as you try to reach this leg back behind you and this hip forward. For 3, 2, relax the tension, but try to stay where you are. Ooh. Then let's do that again. We're level horizontally. We'll extend that back hip, pull that right leg in, so much so that we might start drifting forward. This time getting a little knee towards over toe action here, keeping the back hip extended. Now, stay here. Keep squeezing that back hip. This time we're going to push down into the floor and forward to come back up to tall, tall. Extend that back hip for one more second, and then lightly relax. Let's zip that knee underneath and repeat on the other side. Leg comes out in front, toe tucked or pointed behind us. Light hip hike first, and then pull down. From there, tilting both sides to the back wall, and then gently scooping those hips under. With that back hip scooped under, the front leg will pull into the socket, trying to tip forward. Feel that scissor action happening in the hips, back hip extended, front leg pulling in, squeeze that back cheek, hold, and then lightly relax. Then regather that tension up by extending that back hip and squeezing the back cheek and pulling the front leg in. And this time we'll actually drift forward. Knee towards over that toe, back hip remains extended. Pause out here for a second. Then push into the floor, pushing forward to meet yourself all the way up to tall, keeping the back hip extended for 3, 2, and then lightly relax. We'll bring those knees underneath and get set up for a roll-in.
Our rolls. We'll set up those hands in a nice wide Y shape. Hello to the comment. That's where Lauren's going to say, what's up? From here, we'll go out to that wide shape and turn a hand up at the hip. Next, tuck a chin, this is sniff the armpit, and then roll as to connect your shoulder blade towards the floor. At this place, just take a breath, exhale, and press yourself back to the wide Y position with those hands. Other side, turn the palm up at the hip. Sniff the armpit, look through the window, aiming to connect the shoulder blade to the floor. Then press through, back to the wide Y. Adding on, we could turn the hip up at the hand up at the hip, incorporate that roll, and then use those legs to push your bum over your head. And then return to the wide position. Repeat again, turn the hand up, look through the window, connect the shoulder blade, use those legs to push your bum over the head, and then return. The last progression for today will be the hand up, look at the window, rotate and twist. Then using those legs, push yourself over, ending up in your roll or the squat like Lauren does there. Repeat again, so turn around to all fours, wide shape. Hand turns up at the hip. Look through the window, roll, push through those legs, and pull yourself back up to your sits position. 1 or 2 more. Also, we could do that in reverse. Play with the roll, incorporate that for fun, for flexibility, and for control.
Never know when you need to roll.
Stop, drop, and roll.
All right, before we get into some more crazy moves, let's get our core warmed up into our plank position. So with our hands on the floor, open and gripping, we will have our toes tucked behind us, lifting the hips, scooping the tailbone under as to squeeze the glutes. Now right here, pull that right hand to the right hip without moving anything, and then the left hand to the left hip. Now we're going to push forward and back, tipping the tailbone to the ceiling and lifting up to our down dog or A-frame right now. Feel that length through the hamstrings. Don't worry about the heels touching the floor right now. Let's prioritize keeping that spine nice and long and not letting that low back curve happen. We're going to pull back to that plank position. This is where we start tucking back under those hips and squeezing the cheeks. Now pull both hands to both hips at the same time for 3, 2, if that down dog felt good and you'd like to progress, we're going to flick the floor away, pointing the leg up to the ceiling. As you're here, both hips are square to the floor. Let's take a second and try to straighten that knee that's reaching up to the sky. And then pull ourselves back through the plank for one more second. And then again, tip the tailbone, flick the floor away with the other foot, reaching the leg long, tilting, breathing. We'll come back through our plank position, hold for 4, 3, 2, then our knees will come down. We'll take a second off.
Second off those hands.
And I'm sorry, Ian, I can't read what it says.
I think it says supine. Supine on your back. So start with your knees bent as if to do a hip bridge, and maybe you do a hip bridge for a nice core strength move as well. But for our handstand practice, we love the hollow hold. Start by pulling the rib cage onto the hips by lifting that sternum towards the ceiling. If that's all right, then flex the hips, meaning bring the knees towards over top. Breathe. Hold for a second longer, then go toe tap down and just casually reset that upper body to the floor. Take time. Build this repetition as you can. Let's repeat in adding on or regress to your appropriate level. Chin up or connect that rib cage to hips. Then flex those hips, knees over top with the feet off the floor. Then one at a time, could we extend that leg with that toe point and then pull back in. Repeat. Single leg extension at that hip and knee. Point and pull. One last time for this set. Point, pull. Feel that nice rib cage connection, aiming to avoid the back bend in our handstands. Then return the feet to the floor and then return the upper body back as well. One more time on that down dog. Lauren, take us into it.
Excellent. We'll flip back over. I like to face this way though. So flipping over to that down dog. And this time our tension will cross our body. So we'll create that X pattern as we're holding here. So come on up, tuck the hips. Now right away, let's pull the right hand to the left hip for 3, 2, then the left hand to the right hip for 3, 2. Now we'll tilt the tailbone to the ceiling, flick the floor away, reach your leg up and long, staying square. Press, breathe, then pull back through to that plank and hold a plank. This time, both hands pulling to opposite hips, holding that cross pattern for 4, 3, 2. Other leg flicks away, reaches towards the ceiling, hips are square to the floor, we're breathing. Whew. And then pull yourself back through in one last plank hold for 4, 3, extension, 2, and come on down. Whew. Take a second off, shake those wrists out.
Stand up from here. In that size and sit like Lauren, push those hips through. Then tuck the toes, transition to your toe squat, and transition to a tall stand on those toes. For additional challenge, I'm gonna come up a little bit closer, but for that additional challenge, could you close your eyes while holding the toe balance? We will be working on, this is tough, some extra hand balances today, and prioritizing other kinds of fun balances aimed to help your practice. We can't always balance on those hands because it's a lot of work, but incorporate balances in other ways to stay strong and add variety to your practice. Crawling, a little bit of a crawling here. Let's take a break off the elephant, and first, let's go to that lizard, Lauren.
All right. We'll use our hinge to come back to the floor. So with your feet slightly wider than your hips, chop those hips back and walk yourself out, assuming that high plank position again. Once here, we're tucked under, we're braced. We're gonna lift a single foot and bring that foot up beside the hand. Now that we're here, let's extend our spine so we have a nice long upper back. Then I want you to reach out your back heel and reach out your front knee like you're splitting yourself in half for 3, 2, then pull that tension back into center. Try to lift that foot off the floor and then place it back where you got it. Repeat on the other side. Other foot comes up near that hand. Reach out the hips, so that back heel reaching away, the front knee reaching away from center, and then pull it back in. Try to hover that foot off the floor, and then place it back. One more time on each side. We could add some crawling action here if you'd like. Reaching away from center. If you want to crawl, you'd push off your back foot and walk forward, or lift that foot and place it back to where you got it. One last time on the other side again, nice long spine. Reach away from center. Then pull the tension back in, lift the foot, place it back. To stand up, let's bring one foot in, then the other foot in. We'll end up in our low squat. Try to extend that spine, lifting up, and then press through to tall and shake it out.
And shake it out. Balances, but this time of the single leg variation. Stand on 2 feet with a narrow base of support, and then pull a single leg up just to that little ankle nook on the bottom. Maybe that's challenging enough. Or could you find that demi-point raise? Breathe. I'm going to gently, bravely close my eyes here. Woo! That's a tough one. Return with control, like Exhibit Lauren right here.
I didn't
shake
close
it
my
out.
eyes.
That's probably maybe better. Then same thing on the other side. 2 feet on narrow base. Pull up to that single leg. Drive down. Come up. If we can do this on that single leg with those eyes open, maybe add a close.
Or just change your
Those
gaze.
proprioceptors. And then with control, return to the floor. We'll continue to progress our single leg squats in today's practice. In addition to that, we have our kick-ups. It's been a couple weeks since we have done our handstand practice, so we're going back to those basics, namely Lauren's favorite tripod kick-up. Performance enhancing tips include tucking in your shirt and getting it just right. Take your time, build that strength on the arms, and revisit any crawl position if this is looking a little bit too advanced. But Lauren, take it away. Here is the tripod kick-up. We get in, she spreads those fingers, she does her little preload, and with a single leg, kicking up and scissoring that leg as well right there. Take time in between. As you can see here, Lauren has her shoulders stacked over the hands. Take time trying to find that right weight. Lauren's doing a beautiful job here.
I'm just doing kick-ups though.
Yeah, doing a beautiful job here, making sure that we don't over-kick. Keeping that leg out the back will help avoid the tumble forward, and take your time finding the right weight.
Whew, first time upside down in the morning. So, as Ian said, those hands are spread out nice and wide. Shift your weight over before you try to kick up. If you want to play it safe, try that baby air first, just getting your feet off the floor. Right now, we can also leave that leg reaching behind us, and that'll ensure we'll never go over top. If you are reaching towards that ceiling, make sure you're reaching up to the noon o'clock on the clock, and you're trying to straighten your knee and point those toes. Last 1 or 2 here. Breathing, and then soft landing.
You have to breathe, don't you?
One must breathe.
We'll do 2 sets here, but take time or just watch and enjoy, or watch, learn, or say, hey, I'm going to go to that elephant crawl. None of this stuff. But here we have gorgeous pointed toes with Lauren. Take your time between sets. Make sure that's a good one there, Lauren. Making sure that your shoulders again are over top of those wrists, and those baby airs go a long way to build that nice shape right there. I'll do 2 each side, about 3 each side the last time. Low numbers of reps. Here I go.
As you're doing this as well, think about how your hands are gripping the floor. So it's not about just pushing all that weight through that ankle in our wrist, but distributing the weight through our fingertips, through our callus line, and through our whole palm of our hand. Make sure you're using your whole hand as you do this, and that'll allow you to do it for longer than just driving right into that 90-degree angle.
Sharing that load. Taking time off of those hands, let's return to our single leg squat. Pull up to the place we've been here before, and now let's get that knee over toe. As you can see from the side, Lauren's hip is staying right over top of that foot. Now push the hip forward over top of that knee and hold, and then our balance. I'll be keeping my eyes open for this one, and then down. Just one more time, low volume, high integrity here. We have that knee over toe, then extend or push the hip forward. And when that leg is straight, find a toe balance and return to the ground with control. We want to be able to learn how to control those movements. So if you have a little bit of a left-right version, that's great. Or if you're all over the place, like I might be soon, use the bar or a chair. Knee over toe. Extend the hip through with a straight leg, and then find that demi-point or that single leg raise and return with control. Beautiful, Lauren. Knee over toe. push the hip over top of that knee, extension of the hip, straightness in the knee, find your balance, spot as you need, and then return with that control word. Lauren's favorite version of the kick up is the tripod. Mine is a step in. Here I go. Tell them what I do here, Lauren.
So the step in means you start standing with your arms extended over your head. As you enter, try to enter already creating that hollow position in that spine. You're going to reach, absorb the floor with those hands, trying to stack the shoulders, the hips, and eventually the legs all into one line. Ian's performing the scissor kick up, or the scissor step in here. So alternating that takeoff leg. Recommended, I know it's hard because you have a preferred leg, but try doing both sides. It's good for the brain. As you can also see in that dismount, he's flicking the floor to press away to get back up to tall. Always finish pushing the floor away, getting back to that tall position. Last one or two here. And again, soft like a cat. Soft like a cat. Nice.
You got it. Because it's easier on those joints and it's more controlled and powerful. Oh, those make me a little bit dizzy, so get by the wall as you need. Take your time. Lauren again is doing that scissor kick up with one, down with the other. Alternate that step in leg, and on the landing of the foot, think toe ball heel. On the landing of those hands, fingertip, callus line, heel. Same flow with the hand and the foot. I'll do two more here. Low volume, high integrity, I hope. Here we go.
So arms are overhead, and you can kind of see as well as he steps in, he's reaching up and over something. That'll get you to that stacked position better than if you just attack the floor at a 45-degree angle. It might seem a little scarier, but it'll get you more vertical. Breathe, take your time, and remember you can also practice that trick of just leaving the leg behind you as to ensure you won't tip all the way over.
Whew, I almost did tip all the way over. And those bails are going to happen. But take your time, build that strength and confidence in your handstand. There we go. You have those nice scissor legs, step in, hold the pose if you can for that half second, and then again. The points of these drills is just to gain that confidence and find the right weight to get up overhead. Well, I did the squat the last time, Lauren. What do you have planned for us now?
Oh, okay. Let's get back to 2 feet and work a little bit through a 2-foot squat imbalance. So with our knees pressing towards over our toes, we'll sink and let's find a balance at this height. We're trying to stay the same height here. Heels are peeled off the floor, holding. And then could you stay on those feet and sink a little bit lower and hold. Knees are forward, you're still on your toes. Then could you sink a little bit lower and hold. Now, we're gonna press back up to the original starting place. Keep holding that balance. Could you lift a foot and try to stay the same height? 3, 2, and then switch feet. Lift and hold and try to stay the same height for 3, 2, both toes down. Press to tall, tall. Straighten your knees, squeeze your butt. You're in a right side up handstand. And then with your heels and with your knees nice and straight, slowly press the heels towards the floor. And then bring your arms down.
2-foot balance is not even easier than I was hoping it was going to be easier than that, but that was tough.
Tricks.
One last version of our handstand for day, the tuck.
The tuck.
The tuck, Lauren.
All right, this tuck, this is a hard one. So if the other ones were challenging enough, go back to one of those. This tuck is where we take off from 2 feet and we're trying to assume this tuck position, which means our quads are trying to stay as tight to the body as we can and our hips are trying to stack over top of our shoulders. Breathe. Try to keep in as tight as you can during this tuck position. Your body's going to want to extend. Keep it tight.
The body extends to try to find stability. Where's the floor? But try to convince your body it's safe and strong to remain in that tucked position. Take your time. Like Lauren said, think about being like a cat here as well. Soft and control. Stack shoulders over those wrists. Nice tuck hold there, Lauren. Maybe one more. Low volume can go a long way here today. There we go. Good fight. Great rep. Fantastic. I'm going to do one more. That's pretty heavy metal on my wrists here, so I'm going to do one last rep. aiming for the best yet today.
Pretty heavy metal on my brain.
It is that too.
Whew, feels like a full balloon up there. Whew, pushing the floor away, taking off with those 2 feet, trying to keep those toes pointed in that nice tuck position.
Finish with integrity. I've said that word a couple different times today, but take your time. We're in no rush to get this handstand, and it does take a lot of practice. The summation of the wrist drills, the core holds, the body awareness, and the confidence to play with your strength. Thank you very much, Lauren. Looking great. Looking good. We'll do one more time on that single leg squat here today. So let's pull up to that little flamingo here. Then we'll go knee over toe. Now aim to keep the knee at the same height and straighten the leg out front, and then extend the hip through. Return the leg. This time, perhaps half the distance between the knee and the shin, on the shin, half the distance between the knee and the ankle. Lift up, then do your squat. Now keep the knee at this height and extend and stand. For one more time, could you climb even higher? Then from there, extend. Oops, good call, Lauren. So from there, extend. The hip flexion here will help you get low there, and then extend.
Straighten your body.
Bring it in.
That's the hardest part.
That's the hard part. All right, let's get this right for 3 in a row. Start low. It's that single leg squat first. Knee stays at the same height. Extend and push the hip through with the straight leg. Then bend. Then perhaps halfway between that ankle and knee, same thing. Knee over toe, leg stays the same height, straight, followed by that extension. Then the last time, climb a little higher yet again. Then go knee over toe. And from here, straighten, stiffen that bottom leg, pull back in, tall on 2 feet.
So hard to straighten that bottom leg on that last one.
Yeah.
Whew. Do we get to pick our favorite kick up now?
Let's do it.
Pick your favorite kick up or your favorite crawl, and let's do it.
For what?
For fun.
For fun.
And for about 45 seconds. We always say a minute, but it never ends up being a minute.
That's always hard, that minute.
So let's aim for 45 seconds, and anything more is bonus time. 45 seconds going on the clock to perform one of your favorite activities you did today, or maybe your least favorite one, because that's the one you should work on. In 3, 2, here you go. Ugh, it is not my day. That's a nice line that Ian has, reaching up towards the ceiling with those pointed toes, breathing, using the hands to grip. We're coming up to that 45 seconds right here. So we're in bonus time. Again, maybe you're just standing trying to find your balance.
Oh, darn it.
Nice.
And shake that out. Go back for 1 or 2 more reps if you wish here. Lauren's competitiveness is just showing through just a little. Oh, there you go. That's the one. That's the one. Just take some time. Take some time, some practice. As I said earlier in the workout here, it's probably been about 3 weeks since we've done anything on our hands in this regard. It takes time, and if you don't use it, you lose it just temporarily. But if you want it, I promise you'll be able to get it back or get it for the first time. But be patient, be consistent, and I'm done on my hands. But this time I know Lauren has something special for here.
Let's sit on the floor. Come on down. A little core exercise to finish up. Couple versions. Let's start with our nice pointed legs out in front. From here, we're going to lift a leg and hold it for 3, 2, and then bring it down. We have that light grip on the floor. We're pulling the leg in order to lift it up. 3, 2, and down. Repeat single again. Lift and hold. 3, 2, and down. One more time, single. 3, 2, and down. Now let's try a two-legged lift off. In and up. 3, 2, and down. One more time. In and up. 3, 2, and down. Whew. Taking a second off that. Just extend into your splits here. We'll breathe. We'll get into that split position with our pointed feet and our hips tucked underneath of us. Take a second. Let's place our hands out front. With that light grip on the floor and the hands out front, gently tuck your chin. Not all the way towards your chest, just tuck it in. Now, we're going to flex on the spine. So keep those blades together and lightly try to flex or round through that upper back. Not just pushing the blades away, but trying to find movement in those vertebrae between them. Now, keeping your blades where they are, your abs on, try to extend your heart chest forward. I like to think about somebody pushing into my upper back, driving my chest forward. Extended spine. We'll do that one more time. Light flexion on that upper back. Again, it's not a chin tuck all the way down, and it's not just those blades, it's the spine. And then extend, pressing that heart chest forward one more time. Breathing, extending, and then lightly relax. We'll revisit those leg exercises or core exercises one last time here. With the legs out straight, that light grip on the floor. We'll pull a leg in, lift it up. 3, 2, and down. In, 3, 2, and down. In, 3, and down. Making sure we're staying tall. We're not craning our neck as we do this. Now, doubles. Up, hold, and down. Up, hold, and down. Whew. Great. That was work.
That was work. That was work, and that is the workout. So thank you for joining us here at the weekend workout, where we will play with our strength, help each other up, or help yourself up. Lauren.
Use your imaginary friend.
You got it. You got it. So thanks again for joining us here today. And to our members, check that link letter for next week's edition of classes, live on Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and archives always. If you're not a member, please join us at barsandbells.com/membership, or support us with that Patreon button on our homepage on YouTube.
Thanks for joining us. We filmed a new morning routine for you tomorrow morning. So enjoy that with a nice cup of coffee, tea, water, drink of your choice. Until next time, take care, stay strong, and we'll train soon.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.